Matt, thank you for joining my podcast today. This is Matt Evans, the MD of the Garden Room Living and Landscape Studio. Matt, welcome. If you could tell our audience, please, about who you are, your studio, and explain a bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Hi, I'm Matt Evans, the MD at the Garden Room Living and Landscape Studio. We're a Poole-based landscape and interior design business, primarily focusing on landscape design at the moment because the interior side of the business is looked after by my wife. She's actually off work at the moment for a short while we have a small family. She's coming back to work later in the year. We have a number of projects live at a time. Normally upwards of between 5 to 10, so normally running sort of more than 5 projects at a time of high value. So we tend to work on nice big projects that are sort of 6 months to a year, if not more, on the drawing board and across implementation until we're handing over.
Okay.
We
A
can
mixture
do
of, you mentioned landscape and interiors as well. So,
So from a landscape perspective, we tend to be working on about 5 or 6 projects at a time, and that might be something that's consultancy based. So a local client who needs some help re-envisaging a space, or it could be something that we're working on with an architect, and we've been involved from day one. And there's a referral whereby the architect's gone to initial site consultation. Thought, hang on a minute, there's scope for some landscape design here to accompany a nice architectural scheme. Looking to put in a robust planning application. There might be TPOs on the site or various things that mean that we need a landscape scheme to accompany that set of drawings. So that's our preferred way of working, and it's really important to be brought in at the right time with an architect.
So a lot of your work comes from word of mouth then, basically, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, most of our work's referral work. We're relatively new to the industry. It's a second career for me. I actually went back and retrained while I was in my previous job, which was a full-time job, and studied and did a diploma in garden design, and we've built the business from there. We've done a lot of work locally. We're very lucky to have some clients that have put their trust in us early on in my career, and we've worked on some really big sort of feature projects. And from there, things have just spiraled, and now we've a great team in the office. We've got a site team as well that oversee our planting side of our business. So we do soft landscape installation. We're Barley accredited, so British Association of Landscape Industries accredited, which I think offers our clients reassurance that we know what we're doing. Alongside the fact that we've got a nice portfolio being built of some really interesting projects. And I mean that's
absolutely. Well, you most recently you just featured within Architecture Vogue I don't know if it was your most recent project. It was called The Well, wasn't it? Which looks really good.
Yeah, it's a project down just outside Exeter. Down in Devon. There's a client who's relocating from Portugal back to the UK, and they spent a lot of time working with us. An MRM studio down in Exeter. Simon, his team down there, who's the architect on that project. And we've collaborated on dressing the exterior of the site, but it was a very big ex-agricultural site, lots of slopes and levels and things to consider, natural water coursing through the site. So quite a complex project, but that's being implemented at the moment. So hopefully we can update you, Nick, with some photos and things as that starts to come together in a bit more detail.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks wonderful. And so you mentioned that the studio is based in Poole on the south coast, but I see as well, and when we've spoken previously and on your website, you work across in London as well. Do you have the scope eventually to work across the UK, or what's your plans?
Yeah, I think what we've tried to do is obviously concentrate on our local area while we've been trying to start the business and grow a portfolio. We're now at the point where we're starting to organically have inquiries from slightly further afield, which is really nice. But creatively, it gives us an opportunity to work on different types of property. We obviously then have different site aspects, different conditions, different growing conditions for plants, different weather, all sorts. So creatively, it's a nice opportunity to do things a bit differently. Our local area down here, if you know Poole, it's a beautiful area. It's a lovely place to be. But it's relatively complex in terms of conservation area. There's a lot of TPO trees around, so
Yeah.
we tend to find that a lot of our schemes um, end up sort of being governed by certain things within that locality.
Yeah.
And it's nice to just branch out a little bit. So we're actively trying to work more towards the New Forest, Southampton, up Winchester,
Yeah.
towards the M3, and then organically through other contacts, we're picking up work around the M25. We've worked
Okay.
on properties right down in the southwest, St Ives in Cornwall.
Yeah.
We've done a couple of projects over towards Bristol. So yeah,
Okay.
we're mobile, and all we need is a topographical survey to produce a measured drawing. So it's a site
Yeah.
visit, and away we go.
You mentioned obviously the other side of the business is interior design. Is that what your wife is involved in, or how does that work?
Yeah, it is. She's since we started the business, she started to get very busy with work, and then took a sort of enforced sabbatical because of children,
Yeah.
as you do. And as a husband and wife team, obviously somebody's got to get their head down and carry on with work, and somebody's got to concentrate on
Yeah.
the kids. So yeah, she's been off really for the last sort of 3 years. So the business is in about year 6 now in its current form, and so
Yeah.
she's yeah, had a few years where she's sort of been on the back foot with work. Be coming back to work later in the year. Her background is in luxury interiors and styling.
Okay.
So from a design perspective, she's not done huge amounts of residential design, but she's done a few commercial projects locally. And her background's in photographic styling, and she's worked for a number of creative agencies on projects all over the US and the UK and all sorts of,
Okay.
with lots of really famous brands, and done lots of very
Yeah.
high profile shoots and things. So yeah, she's looking
Well,
forward.
that's a really good business model in so much as you can offer. You have both avenues to offer, don't you, to any prospective client? It's really good. So that's a good way of marketing yourself, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah, that's been the idea, and there've been a number
Yeah.
of big, high budget landscape projects where we've collaborated really nicely together on her styling side of things. So she's come up with a furniture package to complement the landscape design, and we've overseen supply and installation of all of that, styled it for photography and an eventual
Yeah.
handover of the project. And those projects were in the value of 500,000, for example. So
Yeah.
nice big projects, the sort of projects everybody wants to be working on when you're doing what we're
So
doing.
are you in contact with, or are you known by other architectural practices around the region? That's your plan to be known by as many as you can, obviously?
Yeah, we're trying to be. We've got some good relationships with local architects
Yeah.
in our locality. It's always nice to be, referred. There's a local architect. I won't go into details. Who tends to issue out 3 or 4 of us locally with a set of drawings to say that
Yeah.
you guys will be able to help you discharge that planning condition X, Y, and Z. And so we end up tendering at that point, and
Yeah.
that's fine. I don't mind doing that at all. But it's nice to be involved early doors and meet clients at the right point to say, look, let's come on this journey and let's be involved in the whole thing from start to finish.
Yeah.
One of the
Absolutely.
biggest projects that we hopefully will be implementing over the next 18 months will be a site that I actually introduced the architect to,
Okay.
and I thought I'd talked myself out of a job, and we went in, we were engaged with the client, they just bought the house, and we said, right, I think you really need to speak to an architect before we get involved here. We need to work back from a scheme.
Yeah.
They had quite nice, very grand plans of what they wanted to do with the house, and I said, there's not really any point in me detailing a landscape plan until we know what the footprint of the house is going to be and what the house is going to be. Anyway,
Yeah.
18 months later, they came back to us, and we're now working on something that's going to be really exciting.
Okay.
We'll be sharing on socials and what have you later in the year, early next year. So, yeah, it's
Brilliant.
really exciting.
Well, yeah. Again, send it straight across, and we'll get it to our audience. You are now part of our journey in getting you noticed, basically. So, so keep the work coming, and that's the good thing about your model, and have almost this, for want of a better phrase, a conveyor belt effect, don't you? Really, it may take 18 months for somebody to come back, but as long as there's enough stuff on the conveyor belt, then sometimes these plans can take a long time because of planning, permission, and whatever it may be. Having other architects involved, then it's good to have that pipeline of work, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
which is textbook basically.
Yeah.
So what's your plans moving forward then for the business? How do you see yourself? You're 6 years old now. How do you see yourself in the next few years? The wife comes back by the end of the year. Do you want to grow and expand and double in size, or what's your kind of thought process?
Well, I think the main thing really is to get back to the studio running on a level. So obviously, when one
Yeah.
person's out of the business, somebody has to pick up the slack. So it's been a fairly hectic couple of years with young children and everything else.
Yeah.
We're going to continue to build our reputation. I think that's key.
Yeah.
Showing people what we can do and doing a good job at what we do. That I think really is my number one goal.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be said for turning out nice work, but is it nice work that you can replicate on every project, or are you just doing one nice project a year? From a landscape perspective, the goal is to make sure that every project we're doing is something of worth and
Yeah.
something that adds something really special to the site. And that's what I really like about landscape design. You've
Yeah.
always got something you can go back to and see in the future. And then overall as a business, I think we'd love to start to push the interior offering again, and who knows where that could go. We're now a team of 4 on the landscape side, be it in the office or on site, overseen by me. And who knows, if things get busy, then that might be the same on the other side of the business. That's the kind of untold opportunity at the moment.
I would say exactly that, the untold opportunity, the potential for the interior design side of your business is huge, absolutely huge. I see it across my network on LinkedIn and Instagram, wherever. That's where your next opportunity can come from to grow, obviously.
Definitely.
So exciting times ahead.
Yeah, and we've got a couple of other things on the cook as well. That's the word I use, on the cook, poking sticks at things. So we've got a show garden concept which is in build, on the drawing board to be in build for next year.
Okay.
So watch this space for that one. We'll be talking more about that later in the year. And the idea is, currently we've got a team who are all working remotely, and we bang heads together in person every couple of weeks, once a week, depending what the project meeting's about. The idea will be to have a premises of some description where we're all under one roof at some point.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the studio at the moment is home based, is it? Is that right?
The studio's home base. That's where Ellie and I work at home. And then I've got a membership at an amazing place in Poole called the Foundry, which is it's effectively a shared workspace, like a WeWork type place.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
With that. But there's all sorts of amazing networking opportunities here. There's actually a couple of architects based here. They've got small offices, they've got desk space, they've got lounge area, they've got meeting rooms. There's actually a podcast studio here. So it's kind of geared up to creative working. So I base myself out of here when I need a break from working at home, if the kids are at home and things. So I'm here today. But we've got a studio at home, which is where we've got all of our material samples, all our imagery on the walls, all that sort of stuff. But client-facing wise, we're here. We've got boardrooms that we can use here, and we bring people in for presentations and what have you. But so that would be another one of our to-do list for sure.
Take yourself a studio, It's, well, it sounds like historically the work that you've done, the work that I've seen that you've sent across for us to publish already, and everything that's on the drawing board so far sounds really good. And once the wife comes back and you start to build the interiors business, then all credit to you. It's going well, and long may that continue. And thank you for allowing us to promote your work to our audience, and hopefully that with this podcast, raising the awareness of landscape work as well, because every other podcast I've had so far has been with an architect. This is slightly different, and it's helping to raise your profile, and that's only a good thing, because really impressed with the work that you've done so far, and hopefully we can raise your profile and bring some more architects, make more architects aware of you basically around the country.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
So Matt, well look, to end, I'd like to just thank you for coming on and for joining Architecture Vogue and letting us share your work, and I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best moving forward.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much.